Okay, so here we have a Scepter model C325B185RD1X58H98BA monitor. I bought this 9/2/24 and it's dead. So let's go ahead and look at this because, of course, it's interesting to see what's inside of modern devices because it's normally nothing. So if we take off this bottom piece here, we will find this, of course, is the controller board for the panel itself. And then we have one singular main board, which is right here. This is the main board. That's all there is to it. This little shitty heat sink and whatnot. If we go over here, I have the power supply over here. And I actually popped the top off of it. And if we take a look-see, this monitor was 2 years old. And this power supply did not have long left in it. I don't know if you can see that capacitor there. Starting to bulge up there. If you can see how these are flat. The one next to it's flat. But that one is not. That capacitor is starting to fail. Now this power supply was still working, but like I said, it probably didn't have long left in it. And it was most likely sending out either the wrong voltage or a ton of ripple or something due to that. Anyway, moving on. I was interested what kind of panel this monitor used, because I've always heard Scepter uses reject panels, which I don't believe is the case. For how shitty modern products are, and how, I really don't have too much good to say about this thing, other than it still had a bezel, unlike most modern monitors and TVs and everything. Bezel serves a purpose, keeps you from breaking it. But anyway, I don't believe it used a reject panel. There were no dead pixels, nothing that would lead me to believe such is the case. So I wanted to see what brand panel it was. So I pull off the part of the bezel here and go to remove the panel, and it just starts coming out in layers. And I'm like, what the hell? After I take the bezel off, because the bezel was clipped to this. The bezel was clipped to what appears... And look at this. This is just so... Well, now I can't break it, but you saw how easily that broke off. Like, this is 2-year-old plastic. Why is it that brittle? Anyway, the panel just starts coming off in layers. And here is the backlight and... Or not the backlight, but the back plane glass, which is, of course, plexiglass. Diffuser, and what's this? The rear monitor housing. This doesn't even have a proper, panel in this. You can't remove this panel. There's no frame for the panel. The monitor housing is the frame for the panel. And if we look down in here, you can actually see the backlights. I don't know if you can really see them, but those are the backlights. Just a shitty little strip of backlights. And this is a 32-inch monitor. And on a 32-inch display, even old LCD displays with CFL backlights had, multiple rows of backlights, multiple tubes. So to see... even little shitty laptop screens have at least one at the bottom and one at the top. To see not only in a 32-inch monitor just an edge-lit display, but only lit at the bottom, yeah, that's pretty sad. Now, I will say this monitor had pretty even backlighting. The top corners were a bit dark. But of course you're never going to get an even picture, you know, an even nice looking picture out of an LCD as you will, like say a CRT where it's, you know, pretty much perfect. It's just not going to happen. But for you know, being only lit at the bottom, this wasn't that bad. I just wish devices weren't so flimsy and fragile these days, you know? I mean, it really needs to take a note from something like this, which has been running for 26 years without a problem, or even something like this, which is, you know, a couple decades old. And this, of course, being an E-Machines monitor, was an extremely budget product when it was new. So, yeah. I would still rate this way better than the Samsung it replaced. But, I don't know. Anyone have any suggestions on the next brand I should try? Something cheap. I'm not willing to spend a bunch on a monitor, no more than this one. I think this was like $160 or something like that, and it lasted 2 years. I'm fine with that. I know Pixio is one of the brands that's like, you know, a small brand that people claim to be pretty good, like Scepter. So I don't know. Anyway, there you go. That's what's inside of one of these, if you're ever wondering.